what is neutral love?
Good question.
Neutral love is not the love of a mother or father, it is the love of source. And when two source loving beings are exchanging energy, they are exchanging true source love. The love for the universe, the love for the planet, the love for the reality, depending on the scale you're functioning. Neutral love, in one perspective, can be seen as more powerful as physical love, because neutral love has no temporal now expression.
And so in a sense, source is love, but it's
Source
a
is love
different
in many
variation.
forms, in many different forms of perception. Yes.
And the inverse of love, which would be hatred and fear, is that also a part of that love in your perspective,
No,
or
that's perverted love.
okay?
It's still love, but it is in its highest polarity form, perverted that way, because somebody has become a zealot. And a zealot
Okay.
is someone that uses their own power of belief to convince them in illusions and delusions.
But it is an essential component, because without it, the other would not exist, right? In the polarity sense. Okay.
Until one is ready to choose an option that doesn't use polarity as the co-creative process of evolution.
And that's an option within our universe?
That is the option that's being created when we go through our DNA crystallization, and then our species and all species related to our DNA will become the central teachers of this new way, this fourth option, eighth color, whatever you want to call it.
So it's what's coming if we're ready, huh?
It's what's coming even if you're not ready.
Okay. Well, great.
If you're not ready, you're just going to continue. You're just going to find yourself in a dream world one day, and you will eventually resolve it, and you'll come out of the dream world and be a part of a whole bunch of other people who stopped agreeing to Roman numeral time a long time ago. It will be as if you never left it. But
I was going to say, just tying in with this, you're saying ready or not, it's coming, to bring that down just to the, 3D level, with like the LA gas leak, Amazon oil spill, the water contamination, Los Alamos River in Colorado, all these things. Is that even of a concern anymore? I mean, is that like an old Earth now or something? I mean, are we concerned with stuff like that?
yes and no. So there are external sources that have puppet forces here in our reality. And those puppet forces are following the programs that were impregnated into their DNA 29,000 years. So the people that are doing the bad stuff now are doing the bad stuff because it was programmed into their DNA, and they were spiritually contracted for both positive and negative to do these processes, so that the final layers of the reality can have gone through such a drastic change that we start creating our reality, new streams of water, that we start instantly curing the pollution, so on and so forth, so that we manifest at a much stronger level. It's the whole process of, you might have heard me talk about separation of density. These dark beings come in and do all this crappy shit, and we get pissed off enough to start changing and manifesting in such big ways that their systems fall apart because they can no longer process us, because we can outcreate them or uncreate them.
So physically create?
No.
Each person that has already graduated, you must see this system as a total potential equation. And when you remove one piece of it, even if it's an ant's fart in 1945, it changes the total potential. So those that have graduated are already going to the 18th universe. So they're part of they're here and they're not here. Their sentience is already in the 18th universe, but their residual light impact frequency throughout all of reality is still finally creating resolution. So yes, there have been graduates, but there's still an echo of them to make sure that the total potential of who we are hasn't changed. That an 18th universe is going to be created when we as a human species go through our awakening. So those that can no longer want to live in our new universal rules have an option. You go to the new universe and create there.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it.
You're no longer going to use this form of domination and control in this universe. You're no longer going to use karma as the form of debt exchange, so on and so forth. Whole new streams of consciousness are going to follow whole new sets of universal rules, and we are going to be one of the focal points that spreads it out to this galaxy and many other galaxies, and thus a network of teachers and trainers and healers and new mystics will be traveling the great multiverse, teaching people about eight-color time, teaching people about source concentrated incarnate in the temporal now.
Is Earth in that 18?
The 18th universe is something for all the beings of domination and control and the power of supporting oblivion. All of those satanic forces that believe in oblivion's power, all of those systems of war that use false light technology. If you're a video gamer at all, it's like a PvP server, player versus player server. That makes sense. If not, it's basically all of the rebels that that are trying to erase our universe and instill themselves as a universal being are basically told you can no longer do that here. You have a choice to go and create an 18th universe or go into some other universal ladder expression because we're not going to allow you to destroy our process because of your selfishness or self-belief.
So the Earth shall remain outside that 18th universe?
Yes, it'll operate as the dimensional portal, so all beings in the universe be forcefully deported would exit through Earth's crown chakra into the universal void space in which, they wait for the 18th universe to be created. So when you guys hear me on shows talking about void spaces, that is the space in between universes before another universe is created.
Awesome.
That's
Thank you, Andrew.
That's the fundamental expression of where the Lemurians went and where everyone went during the timeline uncreational events or the timeline genocide events where the whole universe was uncreated.
And
That's why an 18th universe was created now, so all the beings here who wanted to become the new universal prime creator via parasitic overtake can go to the 18th universe and they can do it all there. Not here anymore.
Would that void space? No.
You would consider it nothingness, absolute 100% nothingness.
Okay.
And once a single sentient being comes there, it is still nothingness, but the reflection of one being who was unable to remember who it was before it came to that void space. So it must create brand new sets of conscious experiences with nothing from its previous experience in any other universe while it's in that void space. After a while, it will spend a long time in void space and begin to create a greater sentience and a greater consciousness that can become aware of some of its past selves who were in another universe, and then they can seek to exit the void space and go back into manifest universal space and attempt to home in at a space-time frequency in which they were a whole being.
Wow. Thank you.
And there are times where you have certain void spaces where you could have 40, 50, 80, or 100 billion beings who all lost their experience from a timeline genocide event, and they all kind of form a network of experiences and shares and become a form of a collective consciousness of nothingness, except for their experience in nothingness. And then eventually they all learn that they were never nothingness to begin with, that they only got stuck in nothingness because they lost their I am presence as technology for the soul. And then there are those void space beings who are able to observe themselves with unentangled observer technology and create an I am presence inside void space, which thus triggered the universal law of creating an Akashic record, thus why we have void space Akashic record.
I was wondering, is it possible to have a universe with expanding consciousness without polarity, or at least without the sort of extreme polarity we experience on Earth?
Yes, that is what the fourth option is intended to be. Beings that come in with a totally different source expression of how they live in every way, shape, and form. You no longer use karma as a means of energy or spiritual exchange and learning. You create a whole new frequency that does not use polarity as the exchange of knowledge and wisdom or the evolution of souls.
Souls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any Akashic record on souls?
Well, there was a time that there was no Akashic record recording. There were not planets in the universe. There were just suns. So that is when the first planet came into existence in our universe is where the Akashic record began. So what is Source? Source is a being who existed in some other form of a universe and reached its total expression that it discovered that it wanted to become the source for beings who are going to be going through long-term experiences. So they purposely enter a void space and they encourage many others of their like mind to come with them. And then that one being tries to expand itself in that void space. And think of it like an engine with a spark plug. And sometimes it just doesn't have enough spark or just doesn't have enough fuel, and then it fizzles out, and that being is then recycled into the last universe that it was created in and starts its experience all over again. But all those other beings who were in void space waiting for that being to spark and actually create a universe, they get their turn, and then they get their turn until one actually creates enough spark with enough fuel to create a solar system, the first solar system, the centered nucleus of that universal expression. It then goes through a cooling down phase, and then it invites those other people in void space to immigrate directly into it as having some form of previous universal relation. So that universe takes on the first imprint of what it's going to be nourishing as an expression. So our universe has a prime creator, and the universe above and below us has a prime creator. But are they all the same being? The answer is yes. They're all streams of consciousness that are looking for an experience by creating opportunities for thousands of other beings to co-share an experience of self-discovery.
You are using a source and prime creator interchangeably.
Because they're the same thing.
We weren't aware of that.
Well, it is an intuitive thing to get to. And when you're in the Akashic Record, or when I'm in the Akashic Record, there are things that are presented to me as Prime Creator because it was a younger version of the source. When it's called Prime Creator, it's when the universe is very young. And then it becomes Source because it's reached such an older stage that there are enough micro beings inside it who want to go further, meaning it's completed its job. It's connected itself to all other sources by continuing the process of universal life creation.
So the 15 multidimensional beings challenging prime creator, they could potentially become different type of source.
Correct. Their goal was to not have to go through that universal void space of risking their whole solar existence. They wanted to take this one over from within. So they abused all the rules of karma and the universal laws of attraction and so on and so forth, created false light technology in attempts to take over this universe, when in fact what the Prime Creator did was use that as an option so it could teach the multidimensional beings, the 15, and all the other forces of contrast and polarity that as soon as you get to a certain point, here's the new universe. Go in there, and the Prime Creator will come forth as a youthful soul once again and physically deport those beings who don't want to leave because they can no longer be a resonant frequency match for this universe. They have gone so far into their polarity.
One of the galactic historians show, you mentioned 40% of soul were force incarnated and representing 15 multidimensional beings. That's a
Yes,
quite.
That was at 900,000 to 7 million years ago that they operated as 40%. Now they're less than 17%, and there's not 15 multidimensional beings anymore. 4 of them or 6 of them have achieved full service to self-ascension and have gone on to be their pecking order of creating their own 18th micro-universe inside another universe, because it's a void space universe inside a universe. So 3 have accepted to become part of Source here and recycle themselves. So we're down to 6 that are still acting as the Cabal controllers and multidimensional controllers since August 2014, when Prime Creator came in and did a full audit of every spiritual contract that was in existence within the Galactic Ascension machine.
Right.
There is an unlimited amount of space here. And I mean unlimited. This is the only planet in this universe that has 100% unlimited space for every single being here.
Wow.
It's what creates the 8th color frequency so we can experience it enough to recreate it on another world.
The 15 multidimensional beings went against Prime Creator, which that just pretty much means they went against their source.
Correct, because they were trying to prove that they could become Source without having to risk their soul spark in creating a new universe. True expression of all 100% free will. 100% free will means if I want to step on somebody else's free will or the whole universe's free will, I can't.
So in a way, they did somewhat get what they want by us saying, hey,
yes.
Get out of our universe, go to that new 18th universe and start creating that there.
Yes.
Get out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So what
Can a soul have no contracts? Can there be an existence on Earth, for example, if there's no contracts?
I have been asked that one since time immemorial. And the answer is no. That's what the fourth option is about. Once you're a fourth option being, you aren't limited by any of the previous rules that have existed in the last 48 billion years of this universe.
So then we wouldn't have to do our revocations every day?
Nope.
So, going with the fourth option, would you kind of be contracted to have no contracts?
No. You would go through the process of understanding that you will create a brand new sex for the species that no longer uses direct insemination technology. It is direct incarnation technology through the heart that manifests a frequency of light between two beings that are in love, and then that frequency of light literally manifests into the infant DNA baby.
I don't know if I missed it. Is that taking place now? I mean, is that now?
No. No one has created the fourth option yet and manifested in this reality long enough for it to leave an imprint.
Is there anything we can do to assist that, or is there?
Heal yourself.
What is that?
Heal yourself.
Heal
You change
yourself.
the total potential of the planet.
Oh.
Total potential of the planet.
That raises our frequency along with Earth, is that correct?
Exactly.
I've found out
Heal
I've had
yourself.
success with that. Yeah.
Self-healing, self-nurturing, sourcing your own happiness, finding a ritualized and ceremonial way to protect yourself from the fabric rules of this reality until you're ready to outcreate them.
Right on.
And living